Welcome to This Week with Sheriff Dave Phelan, a weekly program here on LSN Television right out of Lancaster. We're also carried on a number of radio affiliates throughout Fairfield County. Do appreciate you, the viewers and listeners that join us each and every week, and certainly the folks here at Fairfield Christian Academy, the students, the staff that put this program together each and every week. We could not have this program without their help, and certainly you, the viewers and listeners that join us each and every week. Back by popular demand is Chief Mark Consolo.
Hello,
good to see you, Chief.
It's a pleasure, sir.
And Chief was with us last week. Lots of good things going on in Millersport, Ohio, a great place to live and raise a family. And you've been the chief there about a year.
About a year, sir. Yes, sir.
And you've made a lot of changes. Last week we talked about the Community Watch program.
Yes.
You're expanding the number of officers you have.
Yes.
And I guess, what do you see in the future for Millersport as far as their law enforcement program?
Well, I want to make sure we have a strong structure. I want to make sure that we work close with, of course, the Sheriff's Department, any of the surrounding departments. I want to get some very tight-knit training for team building and to work well with every other department around, so our officers get to know all the other officers they're going to work with.
Right.
I think that's one of my more of key focuses.
Right. So I know you've even talked about maybe doing some joint training and those
Yes.
kind of things. So do you have some background in training?
Well, when I was in the military, I was a training officer. I had about 140
Really?
people that I did all their training records, made sure all the standards were upheld, and that they followed the training protocols.
So what branch of the service?
I was in the Navy.
In the Navy?
Yes,
And
6 years.
Where did you serve?
I was on the USS Enterprise. We were aircraft carrier, and I've been around the world 3 times and
Really?
2 battle engagements, and yeah, it was pretty interesting.
That's pretty exciting.
Somewhat, kind of dangerous.
Well,
Yeah,
well, tell us about some of your experiences in your Navy career.
Well, I've been
It's
to
interesting.
quite a few countries. It was an experience you'll never forget. When I was 19 years old, going to boot camp in up in Great Lakes, and then from there heading on into the military as far as full time. As far as the structure was, and they send you to an A school, which is your basic schooling that you have to have before you go to the main fleet. And when I went and saw the ships in California, it was just unbelievable.
Yeah, they're bigger than you can
yes,
ever could
they're
expect.
immense.
Yeah.
They are immense. And get on the ship, get all nestled in, and then they just introduce you to how you're going to do your job. And when you're out to sea, you're working 16 hours on, 8 hours off, and they work you pretty good. It's a pretty dangerous environment, but you learn a lot. You learn how to work well with other people. Definitely, you have there's a strong team environment, because everybody's watching everybody, because at any time things could go south on you.
So what are some of the countries that you...
Well, I was in Australia, and I was in Bangkok.
Really?
And I was in the Philippines, and we made it up towards Russia, but never went there. That was during a different time in the world. The countries I went to was just great. Hong Kong, Singapore. You just saw so many different cultures.
Yeah, that's something you would never have that opportunity
No.
to do had you not been involved in the military.
Yes, it was great.
My dad was in World War II, served in the Philippines, and he really liked the Filipinos. He told me, even as I can remember him telling me that he really they appreciated the
Yes.
United States soldiers over there, and he had a very good relationship with them.
Their crafting is just unreal. I mean, they used to make all kinds of patches and jackets and all kinds of special designs, and it was pretty amazing when we were over there. I bought a few things over there. It was pretty nice.
How about that?
Yeah, it was great.
Now, Millersport, Ohio community that has a lot of tradition. And you have schools there?
Yes, we have 2.
Okay. And any thoughts on school security or any plans for trying to work with the school system?
Yes, I had talked, and we had talked about it before, and possibly doing like something jointly between the sheriff's office and our department as far as making sure we had school resource officers in the school, because I think that's paramount.
Yeah.
You can't keep the kids safe enough. Right. Especially in today's society where there's been a lot of problems. Most of the schools, I'm not sure as far as how they had their setups when those things occurred, but I think a proper deterrent and an immediate response is something that will save lives.
I think so too.
Definitely.
I was, within Fairfield County, we have a school resource officer at Lancaster, Pickerington, and Fairfield Union. And certainly it's something that I think really helps them out.
Absolutely.
And they do so many different things. They get to know the students. They're involved in traffic. They're involved in special events. So it really, and the deputies that are involved in this really enjoy those assignments, very much so.
Well, the way the school environment is, and when you have the kids and how they perceive law enforcement, and you have to make sure that you work with them, and so they get to know you as not just the law enforcement officer, but as the person too, and it brings them, I think, to a better understanding of how that we're actually there to help them, and and to combat the problems that go on instead of just trying to single them out. Yeah. I think that sometimes that's their perception.
I had an opportunity a couple weeks ago to go to Benton County, and I stopped by the sheriff's office there, and for the folks that are familiar with that community, it's a rural community, and they have. I was in the sheriff's office is in MacArthur, and I went in, and the deputy was in the office, but he was the only deputy in the county.
Wow.
And he said that if they go on a domestic, sometimes if the highway patrol is not available or MacArthur police are not available, that he's on his own. So it just told me, and I think to some extent, even what we see in Millersport or even with our deputies, a lot of times they are out there on these roads and there's not a lot of officers close if they get into some kind of problem or some type of traffic stop. So they've got to be very cautious and very well trained.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, your deputies definitely assist our officers on a regular basis, and we're very thankful for that.
When I was with the Columbus Police Department, we worked in precincts, but there was always a lot of cars available because it was such a big organization. There were always somebody within 2 or 3 minutes away to get to you in case you needed backup on a traffic stop, in case there was some kind of emergency. So when I became the sheriff, I really kind of came to realize that, if you have 7 people out in the county or something like that, and they're out there on Coonpath Road or they're out there on Lake Road, they are very isolated on these traffic stops, and there really isn't anyone. It could be 10 minutes away to get help to you.
Absolutely, so 10 minutes is an eternity.
Yeah, and so they become very good at people skills.
Yes, they do.
And being able to perceive, is this a danger? What do I need to do? What are some steps I need to take to kind of eliminate the threat?
Yeah, well, I instill when the officers are going through the FTO program, and when I'm talking to my supervisors, I tell them that they must make sure that all the officers are more community-oriented policing officers, and they listen to the public. They get to know the public, and I think it's important that they have a good relationship with the public.
Well, I would think that you probably, growing up in that area, and now the chief, you probably have a really good knowledge of who lived there. You probably know all the business people, most of the residents, and so that's kind of like basic community policing.
That's the kind of thing I did when I first came on. I went to almost every business there just to go in and meet them.
Right.
And just tell them who I was, and if there was anything I could do to help, and I try to make sure that the officers also they when they take the time,
right.
I'll kind of corner them, and I'm like, how many people did you talk to today? Did you get out of the car? Did you go talk to people? Did you see what their concerns were?
Right.
And did you make a good presence? Because you have the public trust. It's your best interest. And I think it's instilled upon them how important those things are.
I can remember early on in my career when I was in when I was with the Columbus Police. I'm getting a call, so I'm going to have to put. When I was with the Columbus Police Department, there was a period of time that I was assigned to the neighborhood where I lived, and where I grew up, and where I went to school, and where my parents lived, and I had a home and my wife and our children in that area, and so I don't think there was ever a time in my career that I enjoyed it more, because for the first time in my career, I knew who the barber was, I knew the principal, I knew the neighbors, and I would stop, and I knew all the kids in the neighborhood. So it was really a great time, and I really had like as you do, I had a real vested interest in my neighborhood, in my community. It's the place I grew up. It's the place where I was raised in my family. So it was a unique experience. And as I said, I don't think there's ever been a time in my career where I had more fun or I was more involved in the community than at that time.
Yeah, I love it there. That's why I live there, and I really there's a lot of great people that live there. A lot of great people.
Plans for the future?
Well, I'm looking at expanding the building a little bit more, so we can be more of a functional department. There's been a couple of times where some other departments have wanted to be able to have to interview suspects, and we don't have any set up interview rooms at this time, but I do have plans to put 2 interview rooms on, and a 6-hour holding facility just for officer safety if we get any combative suspects. I'd like to get a little bit more of a detective-type bureau in there, and to work with, of course, the sheriff's office and any other, because there's a lot going on, and we want to make sure we can keep the intelligence and the information flowing where it needs to go, and to and to be a good more of a community law enforcement tool.
And certainly, as in every village, there's limited resources, so you have to figure out ways to do this that's going to be efficient and not cost a lot of money, which is always tough.
It is. It is. Well, we've had a lot of businesses donate to help with equipment and stuff to help get the department where it's at. And I think that there's a lot of community support out there, and when I go out and I talk to them, they want to help. And I think it's a great thing. And I'm of course going to be looking at a lot of different grants that are out there, and hopefully putting some packets together and getting some more money for the village so we can be more efficient.
Well, I know that they appreciate the job you do, and I know that our County Commissioner Dave Levesey actually lives in that area.
Yes, he does.
And has a business there. And he was on council for years, and so he's always spoken very highly of the police department and the folks at the fire department, et cetera.
He is Mr. Levesey has been an avid supporter.
He sure has.
He has been right there, and he has you guys need anything I can do to help. It's just been he's outstanding. Yeah, I kind of hated to see him go from the council. But I understand that he's in a better position, much better position. But I mean, he was a very positive influence. For me, and of course for the department. Sure.
Well, we're closing in on time. Do appreciate you being with us.
Anytime, Dan.
Chief Mark Consolo with the Millersport Police Department. Before we leave, give them a number that they might be able to get in touch with you if they have a question about the Community Watch program. Maybe they're a law enforcement officer that wants to join Millersport. Or maybe they just have a question of what's going on in Millersport.
Absolutely. You can contact the office at 740-929-6105, or you can check the website out, which is millersportpd.com, and it has contact information on there also.
Good deal. Do appreciate the Chief taking time out of his busy schedule to join us the last couple weeks on this program. Do appreciate you, the viewers and listeners that are there for us, and certainly the deputies in the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office do a terrific job.
Yes, they do.
They make the office look good. They make me look good. And a couple weeks ago, we had an awards luncheon for them. And you'd just be surprised all the great things the men and women do at the Sheriff's Office. Not only our deputies, but also our civilian staff do a terrific job. Do appreciate you joining us, and again, I thanks the folks here at Fairfield Christian Academy, the students, J.T. Burcham, and the gang that puts this program together each and every week. If it wasn't for their help, we would not be able to do this program. It's a great community outreach. do appreciate you joining us and all the comments we get. If you have any questions, feel free to call me in the office. My number is 740-652-7252, or join us on the website, www.sheriff.fairfield.oh.us. We would love to hear from you. Well, if you're out there driving, buckle up. God bless, and we'll see you right here next week.
There are so many fun things we all can do to be healthier, no matter who you are or where you are. So let's move.
Oh, here we go.
Let's stretch in the grass.
What a play.
Let's play tag.
Wow, unbelievable.
Let's jump up and down.
Oh, what a way to finish it.
And most of all, let's eat better so that we have the energy we need to play an hour a day, every day.
Everyone can play. Just go to letsmove.gov to learn more.